And now, from deep in the heart of Texas, LifeTalk. Here's your host, Mark Crutcher.
Welcome to LifeTalk for May 2010. I'm Mark Crutcher here with Cherie Johnson and Johnny Hunter. Because of some scheduling conflicts, Troy Newman was not able to be with us this month, but he'll be back for the June show. Of course, as always, Father Frank Pavone and Janet Morana will be here later on. But first up is Alan Ackles with this month's LifeTalk News. Alan?
Thank you, Mark. In the ongoing epidemic of pro-choice violence, a Florida man has confessed to killing his girlfriend because she refused his demand to have an abortion. 18-year-old Larry Reed has been charged with second-degree murder in the death of Anastasia Boyd after he shot her in the chest at close range. Boyd was 4 months pregnant when she and her unborn child were murdered. Prosecutors in the case are not charging Reed with the murder of the baby. Meanwhile, authorities in New York say Fitzgerald Jolly became violent after his wife Patrona told him she was pregnant and refused his demand to have an abortion. Well, he then took a kitchen knife and slashed her throat while stabbing her repeatedly. He also stabbed the woman's sister who was standing nearby. Both sisters, as well as the unborn child, survived the attack, which was witnessed by the couple's 2-year-old son, as well as several other children. Jolly fled the scene and jumped off a nearby bridge. His body washed ashore a few days later. Well, in a similar story, a rural Wisconsin pro-choice man, angered by his girlfriend's unexpected pregnancy, spiked her beverages with veterinary drugs used to terminate pregnancies in cows. According to Dane County prosecutors, 23-year-old Daniel Bleifernicht slipped the drugs to his girlfriend because he wanted nothing to do with the baby. The woman, Sarah Piankowski, noticed that the drinks tasted strange and turned them over to police. She has since given birth to a healthy baby girl. Bleifernicht has been charged with attempted homicide of an unborn child and reckless endangerment. In California, the wife of NFL cornerback Chris McAllister has accused him of kicking her out of their home after she refused to get an abortion. Marlene McAllister says that she filed court documents to end her 13-month marriage to the former Pro Bowler, claiming she hasn't seen or heard from McAllister since 5 months before their daughter was born. In court documents, Miss McAllister claims her husband also stopped paying his court-ordered spousal support and medical expenses. She is also seeking sole custody of their 2-month-old daughter. Well, the Florida Board of Medicine has revoked the license of an abortionist after he mistakenly performed a selective reduction abortion on the wrong baby. Matthew Kachinas, who ran a now-defunct Sarasota abortion clinic, was hired by a woman carrying twins to inject a lethal abortion chemical into the male fetus that had Down syndrome. Well, instead, Kachinas injected the healthy female twin. At his hearing, Kachinas blamed his error on the ultrasound machine, but the board didn't believe his excuse and revoked his license. The media portrayed Kachinas as a doctor who had little experience in abortions, but the reality is that he had been running the Sarasota facility for at least 8 years. Well, a Cleveland, Ohio hospital has stopped performing abortions following exposure by a local pro-life group, according to pro-lifer Tom Riddell. He learned that the University Hospital Richmond Heights Medical Center was performing abortions, so he devised a plan to expose the situation to the public. Riddell stood outside the facility with a huge banner that said, UH does abortions. As a result, several people within the community contacted the hospital and held prayer vigils outside the facility. Earlier this month, the hospital sent a memo to all of its employees stating it would no longer perform abortions. Riddell says he gives God all the glory for this stunning victory. And finally, Iowa Planned Parenthood has closed its Monticello Health Center, according to Planned Parenthood spokesperson Jennifer Vick. The decision to close the center was made to, quote, help focus resources more efficiently at Planned Parenthood locations in Cedar Rapids and Dubuque, unquote. However, Steve Brody of Dubuque County Right to Life pointed out that this Planned Parenthood office opened in 2008, and its sudden closing less than 2 years later is more likely the result of local pro-life activism. Alan Ackles here for LifeTalk News. You can get daily news updates by logging on to prolifeamerica.com. Mark, there you go.
Thanks, Alan. Last month, we unfortunately had to report on the death of Father Marks, all of our heroes. This month, another, in my view, a pro-life hero, Bart Gaffney, has died. I've known Bart for many years. He didn't have the stature of a Father Marks, but he was like one of these millions of pro-lifers that we have that work behind the scenes and never get any attention, and you know, nobody ever pays any notice to him. But
and he wouldn't have wanted it.
And he wouldn't have wanted it. He was a good, neat guy, and hate to see him go. And I didn't realize he was in his 80s. I didn't realize he was that old. But anyway, we were happy to have had him around as long as we did, but he has passed away. Moving on.
And don't we miss Troy? Maybe we'll actually get to talk.
Yeah, Troy's, he's always interrupting me when I'm trying to make some real salient point, and he jumps in and says something nonsensical.
Yeah.
Just this morning in the Dallas Morning News, headline, abortion stance to be considered, talking about Obama's Supreme Court nominee. Now listen to this. Now, this guy is I don't even think he's a pathological liar, but he's not a very good one. Mm-hmm. He's not like Bill Clinton. I mean, this guy was good, right?
Bill was
Bill,
slick.
they didn't give him the name Slick Willie for nothing. Mm-hmm. But Obama this morning or yesterday said that he was not going to have a litmus test for people to be on the Supreme Court. Right. But they had to support abortion rights.
Yeah.
Isn't that a definition of a litmus test?
See, that's why I was so upset with the Republicans, even when they had the nominations, criticize Bush. Oh, you're going to have a litmus test. And I would tell them, you hypocrites, you have a litmus test every time you do it. So don't tell me no litmus test.
Well, first off, everybody has litmus tests.
You have to say, what am I looking for in this person? But please, Barack, don't sit there and try to tell us you don't have a litmus test when you're going to tell us right around, by the way, he's going to. Come on.
It's amazing. And we talked about that here on LifeTalk back when Bush had appointees. Why not just come out and say, look, I ran as somebody who's pro-life. The American people voted for me based on what my position on the issues were. One of them was pro-life. Why would I appoint somebody to the Supreme Court who disagreed with me on that? Mm-hmm. I believe Roe was unconstitutionally decided. Why would I put somebody on the Supreme Court who disagreed with that? But the Republicans will not go to the mat the way the Democrats will.
And they're going all in. For him to even consider, I was reading some of the things about some of the candidates. He's thinking, you're talking about putting someone in the court who does not even believe the Constitution is right. They say the Constitution is flawed. Right. And you want this person on the Supreme Court? That person going to be a blot on his administration for all eternity.
Yeah. I don't think he cares about those things. I really don't. I don't think he cares. Here's something that's interesting. Came out in Newsweek magazine, interviewing President Nancy Keenan of NARAL, National Abortion Rights Action League, and they're lamenting the fact that even NARAL now is saying that among young people, the sentiment is overwhelmingly pro-life versus pro-abortion. And she says not only are there more of them, and she talked about when she got off a bus or out of the car in Washington, D.C. during the March for Life, and she saw all the people there. She said, I just thought, my gosh, they're so young. There are so many of them, and they're so young. Talking about all the people that March for Life. And they're admitting that not only are there exponentially more young people who are pro-life, but she says the depth of their commitment and their passion about it is much greater than the people that we have.
And she admitted all that?
She admitted that in this Newsweek magazine.
And rightly so, Mark, because these young people, these are the very people she was trying to get rid of.
Trying to kill.
They know that. They know it.
Right.
They know it. In other words, she was out there trying to get their mama to abort them, and these young people are alive now, and they are not stupid.
Well, here's the thing I wonder, Johnny. She said in this Newsweek article, she said that this, meaning all these young people choosing to be pro-life, is a huge problem. Now, here's my question. Why?
Why is that a problem?
I thought it was about choice. Mm-hmm. If these kids have chosen to be pro-life, why is that a problem? And what she's admitting here, even though she'd never tell you this, she'd lie about it, what she's admitting here is that the issue is not choice, the issue is abortion.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Of course.
So these kids have chosen to be pro-life, and she sees that as a major problem.
It's a threat.
It's a threat, and she knows it is. These people have...
But it always amazes me that even though she sees all this and even admits to it, why